This is my farewell ceremony for my Aunt Alice, who died this past weekend. Alice died in a very tragic way. She came down with the malady of our times, diabetes. I was at the Walgreens the other day, and there's now a whole section devoted to diabetes. All your diabetes needs. As though it's no big deal. And Alice went into a coma and never came out. What's amazing about her coma is that they began to cart her, the medical system that is, in Wisconsin, all over the state to different hospitals. And she had never flown in her life, but she flew many times to all these different strange destinations. Not the way you want to be flying. Anyway, I saw the sun striking this butte up here, and I know that in a past life, Alice was part of the Native American tribe I was a part of here that lived in these lands. Somewhere around here is where she used to live. I was a shaman that traveled these valleys, and I would visit her on my journeys, and she would offer me food and water, shelter. Alice fell through the cracks in our society. She ended up at the county Milwaukee hospital. And at one time I was worth $12 million, and I squandered it all. And I see so many in my family suffering. And I feel such shame and guilt. I have a brother my baby brother, who once called me for money and I turned him away. And his wife had a miscarriage. So I want to let all that go. I need to forgive myself. I'm just dropping it on the trail here. Aunt Alice, I am so sorry. You were family. My attitude was that your sons should have taken care of you, or someone more immediate. But you were one of the many amazing women that were in my life early on. I had 6 aunts on my mother's side, and 2 beautiful aunts on my dad's side, my grandmother, my mother. That's a lot of women. I had so much anger for so many years at the women who stood by while my father was so abusive to all of us. I was nothing special. I was just one of the victims. Aunt Alice was always very sweet and never expressed it in words, but you could tell she understood something about this, because our grandfather, her father, was an amazing human being, but boy, he could be abusive physically. He almost broke my uncle's back with a board. Some giant plane. We're in Sedona, so probably a tour plane. But it's an interesting change to the vibrational frequency here. It's up above the clouds. There he is. Chopper. It's like a castle up there, isn't it? Well, that's where my Aunt Alice lived. She must have been some sort of a Indian princess. It's a hard life for her. Her husband, Eddie, died of diabetes as well. He lost both of his legs. I was comforting my uncle this weekend. He was like, yeah, Alice and I weren't that close. It's not going to bother me too much. I'm like, Jim, that's your sister, man. She took care of you when you were a little baby. He's the baby of the family. You're going to feel it, man. And I just called him to console him. He was one of my investors when I moved to Hollywood, began making movies. And I've never turned that money back to him yet. And I know he put me on this path, and I know he'll be rewarded. I've never not been successful at anything I ever set my mind to. Hollywood's just a very hard thing to crack when you start a film career at 45 years old in a town where you're supposed to do it at 18. That seemed to be all he wanted to talk about, and not to talk about Alice. He has diabetes too. It's funny, I was in the doctor's office the other day, or the dentist, and they said, do you have a history of diabetes in your family? And I said no. I actually fucking said no. That's the denial that we're dealing with here. Imagine that. I knew my uncle has diabetes. I didn't know Eddie had it too, and had lost 2 legs, and been out of touch with that generation of family for so long. What a terrible thing. Not just to deny their suffering, but my own. I've got to be very careful. I'm just in my 60s now, and I can feel a little bit of numbness in my toes and my feet. I know that's a diabetes symptom. So I'm saying it publicly here on YouTube that Alice, I'm giving up sugar in my diet for you. I want to live to a long old age. I'm supposed to for this work, and your passing now while I'm here in Sedona has not gone unnoticed by me and the beings that work with me. And I want to make to you this pledge here where you used to reign over this part of the valley. I'm really going to cut the sugar out of my life. As much as I can. The damn sugar's in everything that we consume. But I am done for sure with soda pops. Going on record. Peace.